So what do you say we talk a little turkey? Well, kind of. Today we're talking about something I'm super excited to try. Again, I was fortunately able to have a small pour of it back when it was first released sometime in June of 21 and have been looking for this bottle ever since. I have to first say a huge thank you to my man Young Pei Chang for hooking a brother up. I can't say thank you enough for this. So really super excited to finally get this bottle and do a review for you guys. So again, talking a little bit of turkey, specifically Russell's 13 barrel proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Doesn't get any better than this, and I think you guys will find out that today. So why don't we dive into a little bit of the review. So again, Russell's Reserve 13-year barrel proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey comes in at 114.8 proof or 57.4% ABV. Mashbill on this, so typical turkey, typical Russell, 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. So really, really nice mash bill from that standpoint. And again, age stated as 13 years, non-chill filtered, barrel proof, everything that the whiskey enthusiast loves about a great bourbon. And I'm a huge Russell's Wild Turkey fan. I'd say I probably gained a little bit more of an appreciation over the past year or so for Wild Turkey, and definitely some of the Russells after we were able to do a barrel pick with them with just an absolutely incredible whiskey. And I think that this is going to be right on par with that as well. So MSRP on this, again, if you can get it, it's right around 70 bucks. You know, I know with this one being a limited release, you know, people finding it for that price, it gets a little bit, you know, kind of difficult. But again, that's the MSRP on this, right around $70. So, all right, why don't we go ahead and get into the review. So as you can see, color-wise, I mean, look at this. I mean, it's a beautiful kind of mahogany type of color. Again, non-chill filtered. Love moving the whiskey around in the glass a little bit. See some of the oils that develop on the glass. Gives you a little idea of maybe, you know, how oily it'll be once you kind of get on the palate with it. So, all right, let's get into the nose. Oh, so right away, just this beautiful, rich, sweet oak. Really nice, like vanilla, like a creme brulee, almost like if you toasted the top of that creme brulee part, kind of that burnt sugar aspect. Really nice, rich caramels, almost like a Werther's. Definitely some really nice, rich butterscotch notes. And more of like from a chocolate standpoint, this is probably for me a little bit more of like a cocoa powder, something along those lines. Really nice, rich, dark fruits. You know, this is something that's going to kind of, again, this is a whiskey that you need to kind of let it open up a little bit. You know, as it opens, gets a little air. You know, fortunately, this bottle is now down halfway, so it's getting some oxygen, really going to start to shine at this point. Yeah, again, nice, really nice, rich, dark fruits on that. Baking spices, really nice baking spice, like a lot of nutmeg actually. So it's very, you know, like if someone's doing some cooking, like a pie or something along those lines, you get those really nice spice factor that's there. But overall, you know, I would say on this, you're getting the spice, but not like the heat. So even with it being at or around that 114 proof, you're not getting a lot of the ethanol. It's way more spice, more oak, things along those lines. Oh, nice sweet pipe tobacco as well. Maybe even a hint or touch of leather. Not overly dominant on the leather part of it. Way more oak influence on this. You know, heavy char. I believe they're at a char level 4. So you may even get, with the char, may kind of, you know, smell a little bit like a little smoky aspect to it. Even a bit of like a green tea. There's like a sweet green tea on that as well. So, all right, more importantly, let's really looking forward to kind of diving back into this one. So let's see how this one tastes. Cheers. Oh my God. Just absolutely incredible. I could stop the video and just sip on this thing all day long. Again, like the nose, that sweet, rich oak. Great baking spices on this. Very creamy, like a creamy caramel note on that. Nice butterscotch. Very velvety, very creamy mouth coating, all of that. Maybe even a little bit of a citrus note there. Maybe, yeah, I'd say probably more along the lines of like an orange citrus. Again, a little bit of like I was getting on the nose. There's a little bit of this green tea, kind of an herbal aspect that's there. And maybe that's a little bit of the oak that's tricking me as well. But for me, it's translating over to kind of like a green tea where it's a little bit on the sweeter side of things. Definitely fresh vanilla. Again, that creme brulee, maybe even like if you scrape the inside of like a vanilla bean, you're getting that richness. So very, very forward. Slight bit of dryness that's there. So you'd expect that with there being something aged, 13 plus years, the oak kind of begins to take over a little bit. So you have to be cognizant of, the oak factor. So I could see where some people may classify this as like overhyped or whatever it may be from those standpoint or from that standpoint. But I think that's the translation of those people not necessarily liking that oak or that spice influence that's there. More oak than anything, because oak is a tricky thing in a bourbon, and this definitely has that oak presence, but there's a fantastic lingering spice with all of those rich caramels, vanillas, again, a little bit of that citrus aspect to it. Yeah, again, the dryness kind of sticks around a little bit, but it's not overly drying out the palate by any means. So it's not super dominant from that standpoint. But again, you have to appreciate or like a little bit of that oak or a sweet oak, in your bourbon. Even a little bit of that corn presence that's there is too. So, again, with it being, 75% corn, you expect to get that, but it's a little bit more present or a little bit more known, that there's something that's there with that. But again, it's very easy to sip on. I think you're kind of fooled into the 114.8, but it does not drink like that. Now, it's great on the palate, creamy, oily, all of that. But as you sip on it, that proof never really, explodes, on the palate. So, from that standpoint, don't expect to be blown away proof-wise, I don't think, but all of the remaining flavors are all there. So it's still keeping that finish nice and long. Again, it's oily, creamy, those lingering sweet oaks, the great spice. That's one thing that's consistent with this, is that spice that's there. Nice dark fruits. Again, a little bit more of that kind of, chocolate, maybe cocoa powder, aspect to it. Still some of that citrus. That's one thing that kind of remains on the palate. That's really there. So, I think overall, this was one of those bourbons that, I'm a huge fan of the Russells, their other single barrels, their 10-year, all of that. Love the Russells brand itself. And for me, this did not disappoint at all. For me, it is one of those really fantastic, bourbons. Again, I know it's limited and difficult for a lot of people to find, but for what this is and that price point that they release it to the, the masses, I guess I'll say, it's an absolute hitter. It's a fantastic bourbon, and one that I can guarantee you will probably factor into my 2021 Whiskey of the Year video. So there you have it. This is the Russell's 13, again, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, barrel proof, non-chill filtered, again, 13 years old, absolutely incredible bourbon. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. Appreciate all of that, the support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel or become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, check the link in the description below. I'll have the Patreon link down there for you to take a look at. So again, thank you so much. And remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Young Pei Chang, you're the man.